Hello, Railroaders! Michael here, class of '62. All I can say is, oh, what a weekend! For starters, how about the weather? Sun-filled days, splendid fall colors, and comfortable cool evenings. What a perfect backdrop for Grand Reunion 3. By any standard, the long weekend was a huge success. The Alumni Association, with President Ron Kuzmir at the helm, truly distinguished themselves. Their goal was to deliver an unforgettable experience, one to remember, one to cherish, one to tell others about, and they did it. Bottom line, it was one for the ages. The approach was perfect. Deliver a 3-day fun-filled long weekend, allowing attendees to choose their own activities of interest. A great way to have fun, rekindle relationships, relive old memories, and, of course, create some great new ones. The long weekend kicked off with 28 golfers gathering at the Pine Ridge Golf Course, a challenging course in Wickliffe. Golfers received a commemorative Collinwood t-shirt or golf cap, their choice. Competition was stiff, however, every golfer did share in the prizes. Notable performances were posted by James Cody, class of '63, with the lowest score of the day, an impressive 82. Not to be outdone, John Kuzmir, on leave from Afghanistan, attempted to cut the corner over a pond hazard. After a mighty whack, rumor has it, his club accidentally slipped out of his hands. You guessed it, landed right in the middle of the pond. John, wading in the algae-filled pond, created one of the most memorable situations of the weekend. By the way, Mossman never found the club. About the same time golfers were teeing off, Sandy Shamata, class of '59, began funneling alumni tourees into the school. Sandy, with the help of Anita Washington, class of 2013, managed to get all 96 alumni, grad classes from the 40s through 70s, in the doors within 30 minutes. Quite an accomplishment. Special thanks to Principal Maria Carlson, who, considering the tight post-9/11 security rules, was extremely helpful in getting school board approval. The school has changed dramatically. The third-floor cafeteria is now a library, and the old library is the cafeteria. Not to mention the metal detectors and guards on every hallway corner. Wow, talk about changing times. However, standing the test of time were those iconic hallway frescoes, hand-painted at the time the school was opened in 1926. Just about every touree found them of interest. For those out-of-towners and locals wishing to tour the Collinwood and Cleveland areas, a Lolly the Trolley tour attracted 64 enthusiastic sightseers. The tour guides were very cordial and entertaining, up on their history, nicely presenting facts and figures. Commentary started at Collinwood, ended with downtown Cleveland, covering all points in between. A most memorable and informative trip. As the sun faded below the horizon, things began to light up at the Radisson. Both hospitality rooms were stacked full long into the wee hours of the morning. Memories shared were many, and thanks to an open bar, toasting was considerable. The Collinwood spirit touched the fabric of our very souls. According to the front desk, a record number of aspirins were requested that evening. Wonder why. Saturday started out bright and early at several breakfast spots. Something for just about everyone. Those nurturing headaches from the previous night, the Radisson seemed the logical choice. I can still see Ron Kuzmir downing his 10th cup of coffee. Others ventured out to either Scramblers in Mentor or Manhattan Deli in Willoughby, both having reserved areas for alumni. While the food was delicious, the memories relived was something special, including a spontaneous chant at Scramblers, orchestrated by the always cordial Carol Maver. The place reverberated with, "We are the railroaders, mighty, mighty railroaders. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them." What a moment. The afternoon choices were outstanding. A short ride from the Radisson was Trader Jack's Riverside Grill, a local favorite. Or, if you felt venturesome, bus treks to Debonair Winery in Madison and the Firehouse Winery located in our legendary stomping ground, Geneva-on-the-Lake, were available. At Debonair, the Falzones, Minardos, and Radomils staked out a grassy knoll overlooking the band, checking out Kathleen Grawl dancing up a storm. Talk about having a good time. Check out these moves. the covered pavilion area, Bob Lednikin, the Oshibans, and Pavliks staked out Collinwood's turf, a perfect place for the Kuzmirs to hold court. Little wonder why Ron Kuzmir refers to Margie as my better half. Meanwhile, at the firehouse, Frank and Jan Zolar, after dancing up a storm, were holding down the bar as if there was no tomorrow. As the story goes, the bar ran out of scotch that afternoon. While the various venues were very entertaining, it was the bus drive home that proved to be the most hilarious. Free wine loosened a few tongues, leading to one bravado story after another, including one stud who shall remain anonymous, who stood up in the middle of the bus, drink held high, and stated in no uncertain terms that he wished he had, kissed more girls in high school. Yeah, that's it, kissed. After his caring wife mentioned they would not be kissing ever again, things went flat for the remainder of the trip. The evening bash had to be the highlight of the day, probably the most fun since our high school days. The evening kicked off by the incomparable DJ Johnny K, spinning the #1 hit from '62, Duke of Earl by Gene Chandler. For a precious moment, it felt like we were back in the social room. Then at 8 o'clock, with a crowd of almost 240, the Pop-Tarts took stage, front and center, literally blowing the roof off the place. Dressed in 60s and 70s attire, they played the best of the girl group oldies. The dance floor lit up like a Roman candle when the Shirelles hit "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow" blasted out. Topping things off, several alumni repeatedly raided the hospitality suite, downing almost a fifth of scotch. I can still hear Pat Corpora doing her best rendition of Peggy Lee's hit, "Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball." While her husband Len kept mumbling something about genetics as he was eyeballing a particular dancer. Oh, what an evening! Talk about leaving the best for last. Sunday was really it. While the previous days were truly enjoyable, they served as a warm-up to the main event. The doors opened at 12:30. Upon arrival, alumni were given info packets and directed to a reception area in the small ballroom, the gathering room, where they could enjoy a cocktail and catch up with old friends while waiting for a sumptuous formal dinner, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, music, entertainment, and of course, dancing. The gathering room layout was something to behold, providing a true panorama of memorabilia. Display tables stretching more than 80 feet with meticulously placed treasures, spotlights, yearbooks, photos, posters, and assorted other memorabilia. What a nostalgic rush! Catching my eye was an old pool pass. As a greenie, I recalled being forced to purchase one from a guy nicknamed Genghis Khan. Cost me my lunch that day, and all the change in my pocket. At midpoint was a collection of trophies. Trophies which lay dormant in the basement of CHS for decades, until recently recovered by the Alumni Association, including Collinwood's first ever state championship, won by Theo Morrow and Mike Cavada in 1962. Along with the trophies were looping videos of the 1962 state championship and tributes to legendary athletes quarterback John Puno and pitcher Matt Jankowski. Last but not least, across the floor on the elevated stage were the impressively framed pictures of the Hall of Fame inductees. After visiting the various displays, one emotional class of '48 graduate exclaimed, "Oh, what fond memories! I began to tear up, then cried like a baby." Shortly after the formal seating call, Collinwood's outstanding junior ROTC color guard, commanded by Brian Duggan, Lieutenant Colonel retired, entered from the back of the main ballroom, smartly marched down the center up to the front stage, and presented the colors. The American and Collinwood flags were planted on opposite ends of the stage. The national anthem was sung, a moment of silence given for all the veterans, followed by the Collinwood alma mater, during which it was said that Morgan Powell, class of '59, apparently enjoying the open bar, offered $2,000 to anyone at his table who knew the words. He lucked out as usual. His table was too far from the front for anyone to read the words on the screen. The dinner blessing was from the Seneca Nation and given by Sandy Sharmata, an ordained minister and Native American. Directly following was a wonderful home-style Croatian lodge dinner. The service was prompt and courteous, with more than 20 servers. Out came the salad, soup, and entrees, beef and schnitzel, followed by coffee and their famous strudel. Everything was sumptuous. If you left the table hungry, it was your fault. After dinner, acknowledgments were extended to Mary Maloney Corsaro, class of 1937, Genevieve Grant Deloche, and her sister Esther Grant Ewing, both from the class of 1933. They were presented roses in honor of their attendance and longevity. As a poignant reminder of what reunions can accomplish, Genevieve reconnected with her sister and a niece, Helen Scott, whom she had not seen in years. Their reunion was heartwarming and something to behold. Upon returning home, she sent a note. "The reunion was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. I look forward to the next." Indeed, so do we. The Hall of Fame process is an important function of the Alumni Association. It recognizes those railroaders who have distinguished themselves and thereby enhanced the image of our school. The inductions were presided over by Ron Kuzmier. As his clarion tones extolled the virtues of each inductee, their image was projected on a large screen. In stirring fashion, 12 new members were inducted. Inductees were Eppie Barney Jr., class of 62, sports. Michael Cavada, class of 62, business and sports. Barbara Bailey Cox, class of 54, arts. Paul DeSantis, class of 57, education. Felix Fatica, class of 53, business and sports. Barbara Nagel-Grubb, class of 59, community affairs. Daniel Hervatin, class of 52, arts and business. Military General John Lexon, class of 35, government and military. Fred Lexon, class of 48, business. James Riley, class of 56, arts. Edward Sater, MD, class of 61, medicine. George Wailonis, MD, class of 52, medicine. After the ceremony, the evening's entertainment, Frank and Dean took to the stage. They entertained us with jokes, mannerisms, and songs of the late great artists Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. Their opening song was "You Are Nobody Until Somebody Loves You," followed by "Memories Are Made of This," a 1956 hit. How appropriate. After Frank and Dean, Johnny Kaye continued to wow the audience with oldies, showing videos of the actual artists performing their songs. For the next 3 hours, we danced, toasted, mingled, mixed, reminisced, laughed, connected, and oh yes, shared a few hugs along the way. A truly magical afternoon for sure, bringing to a close a most enjoyable long weekend. The Alumni Association is pleased to have brought you the Grand Reunion 3. Over the 3 days, we enjoyed and entertained about 1,100 people. Judging by the feedback, a considerable number of relationships were rekindled, memories relived, and new memories made, which was the objective. Grand reunions are but one of the many functions the Alumni Association provides. It's a rapidly growing enterprise which has doubled its membership in the past few years, now reaching more than 1,000. Our mandate is clear: to reconnect railroaders by expanding membership, publishing newsletters, maintaining a website, participating in social media, assisting and sponsoring class reunions, all bringing value to Collinwood High School and the community. We encourage you to know more about us by visiting our website or contacting our social ambassador, Ron Kuzmier. Spread the word. Tell your fellow alumni about your experiences. Get involved. We can use your help. There's nothing that a band of railroaders can't do. We hope you enjoyed Grand Reunion 3. Special thanks to those that attended, and major kudos to those who helped make this event happen. If you liked this one, plan on attending the Grand Reunion 4, scheduled for 2017. You haven't seen anything yet. See you there or be square. See you in September. See you when the summer's through.
summer